new two-part romantic drama starring David Morrissey, Olivia Colman, and the wonderful Sheridan Smith in her first TV drama of the year. Not bad going. This
we're
was
only 7 days in.
7:39.
Yeah.
This was the 7:39. I want to start with Nat because I think we're going to have similar opinions, but apparently not, because you said to me
there
earlier...
was one thing, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this. I don't know, do you want to sort of set up the plot at all of it before I...
Well, I will set up the plot. Yeah. It is two people, Sally and Carl. Carl's in his 40s. Sally, I'm not quite sure. Oh, she's supposed to be 30
or something? Or...
No,
early
31.
30s.
Early 30s. They are both stuck in a monotonous cycle of getting up in the morning, going to work, getting on the train.
More so than her. She's just
they're just sort of they're not unhappy in their lives, but they're a bit stuck in a rut. They're not necessarily looking for an escape, but they find an initial friendship develops, which then leads to other things. And the final scene in last night's episode saw them deciding to have a bit of a one-night stand before David Morrissey forgot to push the button on the lift.
What I would say in this, and I loved the two main characters. I thought David Nichols...
They bounced off each other brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, the performances, and the realistic element of down to the, everyone fighting for the last seat on the train and things like that. I mean, what I thought was that Sally and her partner Ryan could turn into David Morrissey and Maggie in 12 years time, or however long he's been doing his commute. The one thing that I had, and this is where my issue lay, is as much as I loved the friendship between the character, I couldn't believe that they would form a romantic bond. I didn't believe that it would go any further. That's my main issue with it. I didn't believe in the romantic aspect of it.
That's interesting.
I think, you can understand these people wanting a change in their routine. You can understand why they become friends, because it's something different.
Well, I can kind of see it, because from her point of view, her husband is, let's use the word, quite randy.
Gary, I do hate it when you talk.
Sean Maguire here playing the same role he did in Scott and Bailey.
Yeah. Where no woman he's with likes him.
Indeed, but he's quite overly affectionate, and also quite, as she said, he's quite OCD, wasn't he? The way in which he laid everything out to build the bit of furniture.
He did have a line that made me laugh a lot, which was when she turned up very late from work, having missed the train, and he said, "It was your turn to cook supper. I've had 4 energy bars and can't stop shaking," which was a very good line.
As if when it's her night to cook, he thinks, "Oh, I'll just keep waiting." Yeah. She's not here. I'll keep waiting. And from her point of view, she just wants someone to listen to her, and that's what David Morrissey's character can do.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, is that I believe that they would become friends and become a sounding board, but that doesn't necessarily mean that anything should progress. And it just almost comes across like a midlife crisis for him, and a way of her to get out of her, impending marriage. And for this to sort of work as sort of a romantic drama, you have to want the central couple to get together. That's what I believe anyway.
Well, the impression I got on, particularly following it social media wise last night, is a lot of people were like, "No, don't do it, don't ruin it." There was almost a lot like people saying, "Don't sleep with her, don't." And I mean, my main criticism of it is, and I did enjoy it, but my main criticism is it was a bit too like real life.
Do you know what? That is one of my.
Let me explain.
That's one of my biggest bugbears when people say that.
Let Gary explain, Luke. Come on.
No, I would have punched him in the face.
No, let me explain. This is a very clever piece of programming. Yesterday was known as Black Monday, the first Monday where most people went back to work after the Christmas break. Okay,
right.
And this show.
Shut up.
People always need stamps. Come on. And they did a wonderful thing. Yesterday would have been a day where people would have got up and got on the 7:39 and fought over a seat and worried about their lives and thought maybe it's not worth it. And the whole idea of her working in a gym was just wonderful writing. Because it's that time of year that people think about that, and all the things they're going through are the sort of things that people are feeling now at this time of year.
I'd agree with
that. To me, that was just a little bit like, for someone who has done commuting, I didn't want to see people living out my life of arguing over seats and
But the
dashing
point
on
is
trains
that
together.
I
And
completely
the
disagree.
way in which he knew the train times, or we can get the 7:49, and then there's the
but
10:20.
the point is that that's why they wanted. He
boring.
wanted the why he needed the change, and it wasn't just that. That was the start of it, and then once she comes into his life, that's why he perks up, because she's something different from the normal routine.
She's a breath of fresh air in his otherwise monotonous
you didn't get
life.
the routine as much after she's come into it, and that was the point, I thought.
Really, here's a guy he's in middle management. He's berated by his boss, put down.
I mean, that was one of the things that I didn't like about it, was that the boss just seemed... He was the only thing about it that didn't seem realistic to me.
That's very realistic in working life.
Yeah, but just the way he was... Not that he's got a horrible boss, just the way... It might have been the actor, it might be the way the character was written, but it just seemed too much of an extreme sort of...
Also, while we're covering this, does anyone know where I've seen the guy who he had to fire before? It drove me mad.
There's this thing called IMDb. I don't know if you've...
Yeah, but I didn't even know his character's name. So
I'll do it now. You
Thank you. I have to say, I said this a minute ago. One of my biggest bugbears is when people say that it's too realistic, because that is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a bad thing at all. If it mirrors your life, or the audience can relate to it, it's going to make them enjoy it even more, I believe.
But part of good drama to me is the escape. This is where we differ. I like the escapism of drama. I don't want to see what... And I'm not saying that I get on a train every morning and flirt with a woman and I'm married and all those sort of things, but to me, I want to see something a bit different from life in drama. I prefer science fiction, fantasy.
Yeah. See, I never will, but that's just a personal taste.
This is where we differ on that one.
Yeah, that's just personal taste. And I never will. But I don't think... I can understand why people would enjoy it. But for me, the realism is what draws you in. You have to connect to... I mean, I think a lot of people watch crime drama because they think, what if that happened to me?
Well, how awful would that be? There's an element in that is they do go for the sensational. I mean... In that,
just to say, Blackpool, was that it?
Yeah. Sorted. Thank you. And Monroe, of course.
You met him on the tower, yeah?
Yeah. Can I also just say that if you were wondering why Olivia Colman was in it but not giving her normal powerhouse performance that we've come to know and love and expect, part 2 is brilliant.
Even in part 2, I didn't think she was utilised as much as she possibly could have been. But I understand
but it is a really good hour. Yeah.
Can I give my guesses, because I haven't seen part 2 as to what happens?
No.
Okay, fine.
No, sorry, I'm saying no, you haven't seen it. Sorry.
No, I haven't seen it, so I'm going to take a slight guess.
Yeah.
I think you will see. I think they will end up together, in this first part of the episode. I think their partners will find out, and then their lives will be completely changed forever. And I don't think they're going to end up together.
Will you watch the second part?
Probably not live, but I will watch it.